Every 40 seconds, someone in the United States suffers a stroke. That's not just a number, it's a chilling reminder of how fragile life can become in a single instant. Now, if you're over 65, or if you love someone who is, listen closely, because your stroke risk doesn't just grow, it doubles every decade after that age. But here's what few people talk about. 80% of strokes are preventable, and even more surprising, some of the top neurologists, the very experts who study strokes for a living, rarely become stroke victims themselves. Why is that? What are they doing differently? Is there something they know that we don't? Today we're pulling back the curtain. You'll discover two simple yet powerful morning habits that top neurologists silently practice to protect their brain health, extend their independence, and drastically cut their risk of stroke. And yes, these habits take just 2 minutes each, but their impact could mean the difference between walking and being wheeled, between conversation and silence, between life as you know it and life permanently changed. And in just a moment, I'll share the story of Robert, a retired educator whose peaceful Sunday brunch turned into a lifelonger momency, all because of two tiny choices he didn't make that morning. But before we get there, let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered how much of your brain's long-term health is shaped by what you do in the first 5 minutes after waking up? If you think it's minor, you might be making the same mistake that left Robert unable to lift his right arm again. This story isn't just another lecture. It's a wake-up call. And at the end of today's video, I'll reveal a shocking scan that showed the blood flow to his brain before and after a 2-minute daily ritual his neurologist recommended. The difference? Let's just say his doctor used the word miraculous. So if you've ever searched for inspiration or wanted to tap into the life lessons from the elderly, this is the moment to pay attention. Because the people who are living with the consequences of ignoring these habits, their stories are raw, real, and sobering. Before we continue, if you care about your health or that of your aging parents, if you believe in honoring elderly wisdom, and if you value senior health, quotes, reflection, and motivation that come from real experience, then go ahead and tap like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We bring weekly insights to protect your independence, your memory, and your future. Now let's return to Robert. He was 69, a retired high school principal from Indiana. He was a man known for his sharp mind, love for books, and daily walks around the neighborhood. His annual checkups? Always clean. His blood pressure? Flawless. No warning signs, no high-risk behaviors. In fact, his daughter always said, "Dad's brain is clearer than mine." But that changed one morning over brunch. He sat at the head of the table, laughing, when suddenly he stopped mid-sentence. His face drooped on one side, his speech became slurred, and panic flooded the room. His daughter knew the signs and called 911 on 11 immediately. The doctors said the fast action saved his life, but the damage was already done. To this day, Robert struggles to move his right side, and his words don't come out the same way they used to. His neurologist later reviewed his case and said something that shook the entire family. Had Robert followed just 2 basic morning steps, this likely could have been prevented. These steps are part of what top neurologists refer to as their brain shield routine. Let's begin with the first. The pronged stroke prevention ritual practiced by nearly every neurologist over 60 is something deceptively simple. Hydration, but not just any kind of hydration. The right kind at the right time. You see, overnight your body loses fluid through respiration and sweating. Even without moving, your blood becomes more viscous as you sleep. And when morning comes, especially between 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock a.m., your blood is at its thickest. That's why most strokes happen within that time frame. According to research published by the American Stroke Association, seniors who start their day dehydrated increase their stroke risk by up to 60%. That statistic alone should stop anyone in their tracks. But here's the twist. 3 out of 4 seniors make it worse without even realizing it. How? They start their day with coffee. Now meet Thomas, age 73, a retired accountant from Nebraska. Every morning he began his day with a cup of black coffee. It was his routine, his comfort, his ritual. But what he didn't know was that this caffeine was acting as a diuretic, further draining what little hydration his body had left after sleep. One morning, Thomas experienced a mini stroke, or as his neurologist explained, a silent warning shot. His balance was off. His memory was fuzzy. An MRI confirmed reduced cerebral blood flow. What changed everything was a simple switch. His doctor told him to start his day with 16 ounces of room temperature water mixed with lemon juice. Before coffee, before breakfast, before even standing up. Within 3 weeks, Thomas's blood viscosity normalized, his systolic blood pressure dropped by 12 points, and new imaging showed increased oxygen flow to the brain. He said, "I used to think coffee woke me up, but now, water gives my brain a clarity I hadn't felt in years." Here's your action step. Tonight, fill a glass with 16 ounces of water and add fresh lemon juice. Leave it covered by your bedside. Tomorrow morning before you stand up, drink it. Don't use cold water. It shocks the digestive system and slows absorption. Room temperature water helps thin the blood, and the lemon reduces inflammation. This habit takes less than 30 seconds, but as one neurologist put it could buy you another 10 years of independence. Now, we've only scratched the surface, because habit 2 isn't something you drink, it's something you do, and it takes just 60 seconds. This is the blood flow reset movement neurologists practice before getting out of bed. Here's why. When you lie down overnight, your carotid arteries, which supply 80% of blood to your brain, can become slightly compressed by your neck position. That compression reduces flow. The sudden movement of standing up, without priming those arteries, can create microclots and oxygen deprivation to key parts of your brain. That's where Dr. Michael Ferguson, a senior stroke prevention expert at Johns Hopkins, introduced a 60-second reset movement designed to restore full cerebral blood flow before you even leave your bed. Take the case of Beverly, age 69, a retired florist from Florida. Every morning she felt lightheaded for the first 10 minutes after waking. Her vision blurred occasionally. She chalked it up to just aging, but her neurologist disagreed. But after a series of scans revealed restricted blood flow in her left carotid artery, he prescribed this exact movement. Beverly followed it every morning. Lying flat on her back, she slowly rotated her head to the right for 5 seconds. Then returned to center, then to the left for 5 seconds, back to center. Chin to chest, hold. Then a gentle upward tilt, hold. Finally, 5 slow shoulder rolls. That's it, no equipment, no supplements, just 60 seconds of targeted movement. 3 months later, repeat scans showed restored arterial flexibility and her dizziness vanished. So ask yourself, can you spare 1 minute a day to protect your brain's oxygen flow? Your independence may depend on it. Remember, stroke doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't wait until you're ready. But you can be ready for it by making your brain harder to attack. Robert's story isn't over yet, and neither is yours. Up next, you'll discover the exact anti-stroke breakfast that reversed arterial damage in a 71-year-old man. Within just 6 weeks, plus the one vital health marker nearly every senior overlooks until. So if you've ever searched for meaningful elderly reflections, if you've ever drawn motivation from the quiet wisdom of those who've lived through life's storms, and if you believe that senior health isn't just about survival, but about thriving with clarity and independence, then don't miss what comes next. In the quiet suburbs of Arizona, 71-year-old Douglas began his retirement with optimism. He spent his mornings on the porch, reading the paper, enjoying the breeze, sipping coffee with toast and crispy bacon, the same comforting breakfast he'd had for decades. He believed this peaceful routine was his reward for a lifetime of hard work. But what Douglas didn't know was that his daily breakfast, familiar, delicious, and seemingly harmless, was silently damaging the arteries in his brain. After suffering a transient ischemic attack, or mini-stroke, his world was shaken. Although the symptoms subsided, the fear lingered. His speech was slightly delayed, his balance wasn't what it used to be, and every morning he woke with the nagging thought, what if next time it's not so minor? The answer, as his neurologist revealed, was buried in his breakfast plate. And what he learned will challenge everything you thought was normal about senior nutrition. This is not about fad diets or weight loss trends. It's about a silent killer lurking in foods that are staples in most senior kitchens. What you eat in the first hour of the day isn't just fuel. It's information. It sends a biological message that shapes how your body fights inflammation, how your blood vessels function, and ultimately how resilient your brain becomes against stroke. In Douglas's case, toast, bacon, and cream coffee were a triple threat. Refined carbohydrates spiked his blood sugar, saturated fats increased arterial stiffness, and dairy-based cream added inflammatory proteins. On the surface, it looked like a regular senior breakfast, but inside his body, a storm was brewing. According to a 15-year study published in the Journal of Neurology, certain foods eaten within the first hour of waking are directly linked to increased plaque in cerebral arteries. Dr. Sarah Winston from the National Stroke Prevention Association put it bluntly, your breakfast choices can determine your stroke risk. After Douglas's episode, his neurologist gave him a precise formula. the anti-stroke breakfast neurologists themselves eat, and within 6 weeks, Douglas's inflammatory markers dropped by 31%. His blood pressure normalized and follow-up scans showed improved arterial flexibility. Here's exactly what Douglas began doing. Every morning he started with 1/4 cup of fresh blueberries, proven to improve endothelial function and promote vascular elasticity. Next he added 1/2 cup of plain Greek yogurt, not the sweetened kind but the pure probiotic-rich version. Why? Because the gut-brain axis matters more than ever in stroke prevention. And those healthy bacteria help reduce systemic inflammation. He topped this with 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed, rich in omega-3 fatty acids known to fight plaque, and a handful of walnuts, which reduce clotting factors in morning blood samples. And on colder mornings, Douglas opted for steel-cut oats sprinkled with cinnamon, not only to stabilize blood sugar, but also to regulate endothelial response. That's it. Simple, unprocessed, anti-inflammatory. This breakfast may not come in a shiny package, but it comes with a promise to give your brain a fighting chance. Let's pause here, because I know what you might be thinking. Can just changing breakfast really make such a difference? But when you combine this habit with the hydration and blood flow reset we covered earlier, you're stacking small actions that, together, create a powerful defense. These habits are cumulative, not isolated. And that's the secret. Each one amplifies the effect of the others. So ask yourself, are you ready to replace comfort with confidence? Are you willing to trade 5 minutes of prep for decades of sharper thinking, stronger independence, and protection from the trauma of a preventable stroke? Now, before we reveal the 4th habit, let's open a powerful loop. I want you to meet Nancy, a 74-year-old retired librarian from Wisconsin. By all traditional metrics, Nancy was healthy. She walked every day, had a low-sodium diet, took her medications as prescribed, yet one crisp October morning, she suffered a hemorrhagic stroke. Her family was stunned. Her doctor even admitted there were no red flags in her regular checkups. But once her neurologist reviewed her routine, a critical detail emerged. Nancy never checked her blood pressure in the morning. Afternoon appointments always showed a healthy 125/80. But when they measured her blood pressure between 6 and 8 a.m., it had been silently spiking above 150. The phenomenon is called morning surge, and it's a hidden killer that 96% of seniors never monitor. It turns out the most dangerous blood pressure levels are the ones your doctor doesn't see, because they happen while you're still in your pajamas. According to updated guidelines from the American Heart Association, morning blood pressure readings are the most accurate predictor of stroke risk. Yet most people only check it at the pharmacy or during an afternoon appointment, after meals, after caffeine, and long after the danger window has passed. That's why neurologists check this marker every morning without fail. They don't leave it to guesswork. They take control of the most predictive number in their health arsenal. So what should you do? First, invest in a quality automatic blood pressure monitor. Many reliable models are under $30.00. Keep it by your bedside every morning, before water, before medication, before food. Sit upright for 3 minutes. Place your arm at heart level. Take 2 readings, 5 minutes apart, and record both. If your numbers are consistently higher than 135/85, speak to your doctor immediately. Often, just adjusting the timing of your medication can neutralize these deadly surges. Nancy's story didn't end in tragedy because her new neurologist caught the surge in time. They changed her dosage schedule, added a magnesium supplement, and within 2 weeks her morning spikes were gone. Her speech returned, her confidence returned, and most importantly, her independence was preserved. This habit takes under 2 minutes. It costs next to nothing, but the peace of mind it brings is priceless. Imagine knowing each day whether your body is walking into a risk zone or walking away from it. That's the power of knowledge. That's the foundation of neurological resilience. Let's reflect on something powerful here. When you were younger, you probably didn't think twice about blood pressure, hydration, or breakfast content. But now, in this stage of life, it's these quiet daily choices, these life lessons That's why we share these stories, not to scare, but to inspire. Because within the stories of Douglas and Nancy, you'll find wisdom deeper than data. These aren't lab studies. They're lived experience, and if there's one thing elderly reflections teach us, it's that prevention isn't just science. It's discipline, it's humility. It's waking up and choosing your brain before the world demands it. Coming up, you'll discover 2 final morning habits, a 30-minute breathing technique neurologists use to flush out brain plaque, and a supplement routine that 97% of brain doctors follow, yet rarely share with their patients. One of these habits helped a man with stubborn high blood pressure drop 20. The other reversed arterial blockages in the brain without surgery. And yes, both take less than a minute. So stay with us, because in the final chapter, we complete the shield. We bring everything full circle. And we share the exact words that one elderly stroke survivor said. Words so powerful, her neurologist began quoting them to every new patient he met. You'll hear that quote, but only at the end of the final section. What if just 30 seconds each morning could flush away the very plaques building silently in your brain right now? What if something as gentle as your breath could do what even some medications can't? Calm the inflammation, regulate blood pressure, restore oxygen where your brain needs it most? It sounds too simple to be true, and yet, leading neurologists have quietly used this breathing technique themselves for years. Why? Because the science is clear. Your vagus nerve, which runs from your brainstem throughout your chest and abdomen, controls much of your body's inflammatory response. And by stimulating it through a specific rhythm of breath, you can literally tell your vascular system to calm down, widen, and flow. We begin this final part with a story of Franklin, a 67-year-old retired engineer from Virginia. For years, his blood pressure hovered dangerously high despite medication. He was told to wait and monitor, but one day his cardiologist gave him a stark warning. If your numbers don't drop within 3 months, you're headed toward a stroke. Franklin, frustrated, sought a second opinion from a neurologist. One who didn't just prescribe pills, but studied cerebral blood flow. The doctor gave him something unexpected, a 30-second breathing routine. No pills, no machines, just breath. Franklin practiced the routine every single morning. Sitting on the edge of his bed, feet flat, one hand on his belly, he inhaled slowly through his nose for 4 seconds, held for 7, and exhaled gently through pursed lips for 8 seconds. He repeated this cycle 4 times. Within 3 weeks, his systolic blood pressure had dropped by 22 points. Follow-up scans showed that the arteries previously narrowed in his brain had begun to open. His doctor called the results remarkable, but to Franklin it wasn't magic, it was mindfulness, intention, reconnection with his own body's rhythm. This is habit 5, and it's as powerful as it is simple. You don't need a gym membership or a new app, you just need your breath. The scientific name for this method is 4-7-8 vagus nerve stimulation. It rebalances cortisol, lowers the stress response, and restores circulation to the microvessels that feed the brain's decision-making centers. When performed daily, it has been shown to lower inflammation markers by over 30%. So tomorrow morning before breakfast, before scrolling your phone, try this. Sit upright, hand on your stomach, inhale deeply through your nose for 4 seconds, feeling your stomach, a breath-driven way to train your arteries for strength, clarity, and protection. Now, we arrived at the 6th and final habit, the one most neurologists follow religiously, but rarely discuss in public. It's not because it's a secret, it's because most patients never ask the one question that unlocks it. What do you do for yourself every morning? That's exactly what Patricia, age 69, from Maine, asked her doctor after her sister suffered a devastating stroke. Determined not to follow the same path, Patricia demanded more than a generic care plan. She asked her neurologist point blank, "What do you do for your brain health?" At first he hesitated. Then he shared something few patients ever hear, his personal supplement protocol. It wasn't sold in TV commercials. It wasn't part of a trendy brand. It was a targeted combination of natural compounds supported by compelling scientific evidence. Patricia followed his guidance to the letter. And after 3 months, her blood flow improved, her inflammatory markers dropped, and even her carotid artery scans showed mild plaque regression. A result her doctor didn't expect. He was stunned, but not by the supplements, by her discipline. Here is the exact combination that 97% of neurologists report taking themselves, based on a confidential survey by the National Institute of Neurological Disorders. First, 1,000 milligrams of high-quality omega-3 fish oil, containing at least 600 milligrams combined EPA and DHA. Omega-3s are the foundational antiplastogens, reducing triglycerides, decreasing arterial stiffness, and improving endothelial function. Second, 100 mg of CoQ10, essential for mitochondrial energy in brain cells, and known to enhance blood vessel elasticity. Third, 500 mg of curcumin, the active compound in turmeric, paired with black pepper extract to dramatically enhance absorption. Curcumin is a powerful anti-inflammatory with growing evidence in neurovascular protection. And finally, 150 mg of magnesium threonate, a unique form that crosses the blood-brain barrier and directly supports neural flexibility and memory. This exact protocol works synergistically. Each supplement amplifies the others. But here's the key: timing matters. These should be taken right after your morning hydration routine we discussed earlier, and at least 30 minutes before your first bite of breakfast, for best absorption and maximum effect. Patricia's story is a vivid reminder of what we too often forget. Your health is your responsibility. Your doctor can guide you, but your daily choices? That's on you. These 6 habits are not theories. They are practiced every morning by the very people who treat stroke patients all day long. And they follow them not just to survive, but to thrive. Let's take a moment to reflect, because this isn't just about data or regimens. This is about honoring the elderly wisdom that tells us life is fragile, that health once lost is rarely reclaimed in full, that time is precious. Stroke doesn't just steal movement, it steals voice, thought, dignity. But here's the truth: that doesn't have to be your story. That doesn't have to be the ending. You now have the tools, the roadmap, the habits. So let me ask you one final question. Will tomorrow morning be different? Will you choose to hydrate before coffee? Will you spend 60 seconds moving your neck before you stand? Will you give your arteries the anti-stroke breakfast they crave? Will you check your blood pressure when it matters most? Will you breathe deeply on purpose and flush inflammation before it roots? And will you give your brain the supplements neurologists take themselves but rarely prescribe? These are not chores, these are gifts. 2 minutes a day, that's all it takes. And if you're still unsure, then remember Thomas, Beverly, Douglas, Nancy, Franklin, and Patricia. Each one faced a warning, each one made a change, and now they live with sharper minds, stronger bodies, and more precious time with their families. And here it is, the quote I promised you, the one Patricia's doctor now shares with every patient. It came from Patricia herself, spoken the day her doctor showed her the clean scan. She said, "If I had waited for someone else to save me, I'd still be waiting, but I chose to save myself. One habit at a time." Powerful words, the kind that stay with you, the kind that come only through lived experience, through elderly reflections, forged in fire, offered in grace. And maybe, just maybe, they were meant for you too. If you've started practicing any of these 6 habits, comment below which one and what changes you felt. If you've learned something today, hit like. If you believe in spreading motivation, protection, and life lessons from the elderly, subscribe and share this with someone over 65. It may be the most important message they receive this year. Because stroke may be silent, but so is prevention. And now you hold the power to speak louder than both.